The Brain Rot ammo mod inside of Black Ops 6 might be more useful than you actually think. So in today's video, I'll be going over every single augment that this ammo mod has to offer and try to see if it's really worth your time unlocking all of them or if you should just go for something else. Before we fully get into it, if you're brand new here, be sure to subscribe. We're on the goal to hitting 50,000 subscribers and we're actually super close to 48,000, so I'm just gonna thank you all in advance. And also, if you're wondering how to unlock these augments really fast, recently we have finally had the official reveal, or well, a leak of the official amount of XP that you need for unlocking your augments, which is quite a lot. So the best way to actually do this, in my opinion, is not only try to unlock weapon camos for your weapons while you do this, but go up to round 31 in exfil. It seems to be offering you the most reasonable amount of XP towards progressing inside of the augments without the game becoming way too difficult as it is. And as with these ammo mod videos, I do have to recommend for you to potentially pair up elemental pop with this, because elemental pop will be offering you even more boosts to the ammo mod itself. The first major augment on elemental pop that I would recommend is Citrus Focus, as it will allow you to just use the ammo mod that you want, but mainly we will be concentrating on the minor augments, because Vulnerability will be slightly increasing the enemy elemental weakness damage, or Chillberry will just allow you to activate that ammo mod even more, which is actually an augment that we will be looking at in Brain Rot. So without further ado, let's hop right into the first one, which is called Plague. The charmed enemy has a chance to turn other enemies. Now the thing with this, from my personal experience, which a lot of this is my personal experience, so go about with this information in whatever way you want. You might have a very different experience from me, but I tried my best to test this out. Plague seems to activate at a very low scale. I did end up using it as much as I can, and there were some instances where I had sometimes 2 zombies getting turned. Now this is one that I don't know if I would really recommend for you to use at all, even if you're just planning to use ammo mods for fun, because they are something that you want to use for fun at the end of the day. Because one thing that I also mentioned in my videos is camo grinding, which is I think that a lot of people are going for. Probably I personally am. I'm on my opal grind right now, which if you're seeing a lot of the sniper gameplay, that's because I'm trying to unlock opal on this one. But obviously using ammo mods, I'd say, is actually more for fun than actually using the ammo mods for specifically benefiting in high rounds, especially Brain Rot. It's not one that I would recommend for you to use, and Plague doesn't make it any better. Now if we're gonna quickly look at the minor augments, actually I'll be honest, I think I'd pair up any of the minor augments with this one. The reason for this is because the first minor augment that we have is called Extension. Brain Rot duration is slightly increased. This one's really good because it will increase the amount of time that you have those multiple zombies activated. It's around 20 seconds if you use Extension minor augment on your actual Brain Rot, and then without it, it should be around 15 seconds. Now something I need to point out, it's not 100% that is going to be this time, but it definitely does increase it by at least 4 to 5 seconds, depending on if it's not completely randomized. I was able to get around that. It's also just very difficult to specifically time stuff in game the way that you want to do it, because you can't always see where the Brain Rot zombie is. It's very complicated, but that's one that I'd pair up with it. Haste is another one that I would recommend, of course, to use, which is the second minor augment, just because it cools down the Brain Rot activation by a tiny bit more, which basically means you'll be able to activate Plague even more often. And the last one, which is probably the most interesting minor augment, and one that if you have to choose, I think maybe this one is the most fun, and that is called Explosive. And this one is described as charmed enemies explode at the end of Brain Rot's duration, dealing toxic damage. The reason this one's good is because you'll just be able to deal even more damage on the zombies, and I think this one just kind of makes it more fun than actually just really overpowered. So Plague, pair it up with any minor augment. Moving on to our second major augment, we have Pheromone, right? Pheromone, there we go. This one is described as the charmed enemy distracts nearby normal and special enemies for a short time. Now this one I will say is probably the best major augment you have here, just because this allows you to almost just create your own mini decoy grenade. I wouldn't really call it a monkey bomb in a sense, but it does distract zombies, and it is definitely really short. Even pairing it up with Extension minor augment, I have noticed that for some odd reason the amount of time that the zombies get distracted by it is definitely shorter than I think I would prefer it to be, but it's still really good, and one that I think would be the reason why I would personally like to use Brain Rot more often. I didn't actually use it when I was going for my camo grinding, which is I think one of the best ways to use this, just because you'll be able to get your critical headshots more easier. But that's one of the ways that I would really personally recommend for you to use this specific augment. This one as well is very similar to Plague in the sense of which minor augments I would recommend for you to use. They all have their benefits. Extension will extend it by that tiny bit of time. Haste will allow it to activate more, and then Explosive I think might even be the best pairing for it, because whatever zombies are around it, if you don't really care about killing them all yourself, they will take that tiny bit of more toxic damage, which is a reasonable amount. And now moving on to our last augment, and that is the major augment Big Game, which we have looked at multiple times before before with the other ammo mod videos, and if you don't know, this one will just allow you to, as it says, charm elite enemies, which essentially means that the abomination or the amalgam on Terminus Island will be able to turn to your side for a brief amount of time. The zombie won't die, which is one of the biggest problems that I have with it. Not only is it incredibly difficult to activate for some odd reason, it took me absolutely forever to do it, but also the fact that you don't actually get to kill the abomination or the amalgam with this is a huge downside in my opinion, just because personally I prefer ones that would actually have some effect on the elite enemies, because they seem to be the biggest problem, or they are just the biggest problem whenever I play any of the maps. And if you haven't seen my past video on Shadow Rift ammo mod, this one is definitely far more superior with the big game, because it will insta-kill abominations or the amalgams by teleporting them into the sky. So that's definitely not a good one. The only augments that I would recommend for you to use specifically in major is the Pheromone. Apart from that, minor, they're all pretty good in their own way, but I think Brain Rot might actually become a really useful ammo mod in the future whenever we have DLC maps. Maybe with season 1, one of the enemies, at least the one that they teased, potentially could be able to take more damage with the Brain Rot ammo mod. And I guess the abomination does take more damage, but why would you ever use Brain Rot on, let's say, Liberty Falls against abominations when you could just use Napalm, which deals more damage on both the abomination and the manglers themselves? So that's about it for the video. If you have watched this far, thank you so much, you're absolutely incredible. If you're wondering what videos are left in the review side of things, I have done all the perks, and I have also made a video of just all of the augments that I would recommend for you to use on the perks themselves, so I do recommend that video if you're curious. But apart from that, in the ammo mods, we do only have one more left, and that is Cryo Freeze. And then for field upgrades, we have Energy Mine, Dark Flare, Healing Aura, and Ether Shroud left. So we're getting closer and closer to finishing these. I definitely want to get them out before season 1, and then from season 1, if there's any drastic changes, for sure I will definitely be covering them on this channel. So subscribe, drop a like on the videos, that does really help out. Thank you so much for watching. Sorry for the Appathon. I'll see you guys in the next one. Peace out.